on now, fellas. We've got to answer the bell. Now let's go.
Hey, welcome into our Wednesday edition of Main Street Sports Today, presented Chris Yow. Chris with some personal, well, I guess taking a personal day, but in his stead, we have the illustrious Wade Neely joining us. Wade, good afternoon.
Good afternoon, my friend. How we doing?
We're doing well. We are here in the Lee Company studios, I guess the mobile Lee Company studios of our humble abodes, bringing you today's show. Like I said, Chris taking a personal day, should be back with us tomorrow. We're going to try to hold it down for the next hour and a half here. As we do every Wednesday, we will be joined by Heather Williams in the second segment, talking a little NASCAR. She was out in her stomping grounds at Kansas this weekend, and interesting as always, the NASCAR Cup Series race this weekend out there. Also be talking a little Braves, as we always do, even with an Astros fan. Little college action as well, and of course it's Wild and Wacky Wednesday. I'm not sure if it will be as wild or as wacky as it is when Yow is here, but we will be trying to bring you the wildest and wackiest news from across the world and Florida, so stay tuned for that in the final segment. Wade will be running through some high school soccer scores among other scores here in a second on the rundown, but I understand you had a pretty eventful evening last night.
Yeah, and this was a first for me. I was on the end of a FaceTime call. Pulaski Citizen Live was up at Santa Fe last night as Richland wins the first game versus Wayne County and then falls in the second game. But as I get back to Pulaski, and I get a FaceTime call saying, you're going to want to watch this. The Giles County boys soccer team is in penalty kicks, and they're not just a couple kicks into penalty kicks. They are in round 10 into penalty kicks. So I had a good friend of mine, statistician for the team, Mr. Kyle Wallace, FaceTime me and a few other friends and family. We all huddled around our phone and watched as Giles County goes 18 rounds of penalty kicks, and goalkeeper Sam Harwell makes a save at the end to, dare I say, mercifully end the match as Giles County upset number 1 seed Tullahoma last night. 18 rounds of penalty kicks, Mo.
Man, the longest high school soccer match I covered was in Giles County as well, actually. Richland and Columbia Academy, and I think they went like 6 rounds deep into PKs, and at the time I had a deadline, so it was like, just shoot me now. But 18, I just can't imagine. I cannot imagine.
18 rounds, and your first 5 kick takers are set. After that, you go to sudden death. And when you get to the professional and the college ranks, usually when you get to 10, obviously it never really goes that far, as you mentioned, but when you get to 10, number 11 usually ends up being the goalkeepers. Well, last night when they got to round 11, the referees and the coaches got together and they say, hey, this is uncharted territory for all of us, and we want to make sure we have the rules correct. So they halted the shootout for about 5 to 7 minutes, consulted the rule book, found out the goalkeepers are not required to shoot unless obviously you want to, which neither team opted to. So they just restarted back at the beginning. But there was a full-on, dare I say, halftime during the penalty kick shootout. The referees and the coaches, no one knew the rules because, like you said, we're usually not going more than 5 or 6 kicks at the most.
Well, I mean, typically you don't go penalty kicks anyway. In the regular season, you just end it in a tie. But obviously in the postseason, you have to have a winner because somebody has to advance. But you said 18 rounds. How many successful PKs were there, Wade?
Off the top of my head, I want to say the final score, quote unquote, ended up being 14-13. Giles County goalkeeper Sam Harwell, he's a senior. He had made 4 saves to extend. Giles County was the first kick taker, and on 4 different occasions, he had to make a save to extend the shootout. He made 4 of those saves, and then in the 18th round, Giles County, Patrick Holt, a junior striker, he makes the shot, and then Sam makes the 5th save of the penalty kick shootout. Unbelievable stuff. Our good friend and colleague at UT Southern, Mr. Guy Schaefer, he's the team's FCA chair. He was there. He was sending me live video. He was sending me updates, and we were on FaceTime watching it. It was bonkers. And at the end of the day, Giles County, the 5 seed, is going to play for the district title for the first time since way back in 2013. They hadn't even won a district tournament game since 2016, and now they're into the final for the first time in a decade.
And I guess Sam Harwell, is it?
Harwell.
Harwell? Guess he got the game ball.
Yeah. And we posted a great clip. You can find it on Twitter. You guys shared it as well. But at PC Sports page, usually the team runs toward the goalkeeper and they dogpile, kind of like baseball at the dugout. You know, they dogpile inside the 18-yard box. But after Sam made the save, he sprinted out from the goalkeeper line, and they were chasing him kind of like someone said it to me, kind of like security would chase a fan that has ran onto the field. They were trying to flag him down, and Sam kind of turned on the jets. What few jets he does have, he turned them on, and he was outrunning his teammates. Crazy scene last night. Tullahoma's a really good team. They tied with Page for the regular season title. Page was also upset in the semifinals, losing to Murfreesboro Central Magnet, as we'll talk about in a second on the rundown. But crazy drama going on in District 11 AA as Giles County wins in 18 rounds of penalty kicks.
Good Lord, that's crazy. Well, without any further ado, let us give you yesterday's results and today's schedule on the rundown.
This is the rundown.
In high school baseball action on Tuesday, Franklin Grace edged Clarksville Christian 6-5. I believe that was a walk-off grand slam out at the Clyde, actually, for the Lions in that one. Also, Christian Community defeated Zion Christian 13-4. Softball action from defeated Columbia Central 3-2, ending the Lady Lions season. It was Brentwood 12, Overton 2. Laverne with a pair of wins, defeating Antioch 11-1 and Cane Ridge 13-3. Giles County, the Lady Bobcats with a 13-0 win over Mount Pleasant. Riverdale and Rockvale both beat up on Blackman. Riverdale 5-3, Rockvale 6-5. Siegel then defeated Rockvale 12-2. It was Smyrna 12, Cane Ridge nothing, Gallatin 7, Station Camp 6. Loretto edged Summertown 6-4. Richland, as Wade mentioned earlier, with a 5-0 win over Wayne County, forcing the if game in 10-1A, which the Lady Wildcats won in 8 innings, 1-0 over Richland. Columbia Academy also forcing an if game in the D2A Middle Region Finals, defeating host Donaldson Christian 3-1 before winning the second game 6-5 in walk-off fashion. Boys soccer action. Loretto with a 1-0 win over Scotts Hill. Antioch 2, Overton 1. Giles County, as we mentioned, 3-2 over Tullahoma in shootout. Rossview with a 1-0 win over West Creek. Nolensville defeated Summit 3-1, and also in a shootout, not to be outdone, Columbia Central 1, Independence 0.
Wild action yesterday. To college baseball we go. These results coming in. Vanderbilt 12, Louisville 8. It was Tennessee 9-3 winner over Austin P. Lipscomb wins the Battle of the Boulevard, so to speak, there, 8-7 versus Belmont. In JUCO baseball, Southwest Tennessee State was an 11-8 winner over Ball State. Dyersburg State knocks off Columbia State 4-2. In the big leagues, Braves, big win for the Bravos as they knock off the Red Sox 9-3. Tight one between the Reds and the Mets, 7-6 your final there. Dodgers winning it 6-2 versus the Brewers. Cardinals were a 6-4 winner versus the Cubs. And it was the Sounds with a nice win. We'll talk about the Sounds a little bit later on, I guess. Interesting clip from that game. They knock off Gwinnett 11-3 yesterday.
Also, scores of interest. The Astros on the road win at the Los Angeles Angels of Anaheim 3-1. Don't want to leave Wade out there. So
I wasn't going to bring it up, but good win for the guys last night.
Absolutely. Hey, softball action today at 4:00. Franklin plays Overton. 5:00 starts for Hunters Lane at Beach and Independence at Summit. Also, the Rockvale Seagull loser plays Riverdale at 5. At 6, Stewart's Creek is at Smyrna. Giles County is at Summertown at 6. At 7, Oakland is at Siegel. McGavick plays Station Camp. Also at 7, the winner of that Independence Summit game from 5:00 plays Nolansville. Cornersville Moore County winner plays at Eagleville at 7:30, and at 8, Stewart's Creek Smyrna loser plays Laverne. In boys soccer action tonight at 7, it's Greenbrier at White House Heritage. College softball today already. Jacksonville State has defeated Austin P 10-4 in conference tournament action. Also in the Conference USA tournament, Middle Tennessee State knocked off host Louisiana Tech 5-4. Tennessee State with a 3-2 win over Lindenwood in OVC play. And at 4:00 today, Belmont plays Bradley. That game can be seen on ESPN+. In state junior college softball tournament action, Chattanooga State and Ball State, that was an 11:30 start. I would assume that one's over with. We don't have a score. Major League Baseball action tonight, the Dodgers and the Brewers had a 12:40 start. Mets and Reds start at 5:40 in Cincinnati. At 6:20, the Red Sox continue their series at Truist Field. Will conclude their 2-game series at Truist Field against the Braves. Again, that's a 6:20 start. At 6:40, the Cardinals are at Wrigley Field against the Cubs. And at 6:35, the series at First Horizon Park between Gwinnett and the Nashville Brewskis continues. They got some nice jerseys for that one. Go to NashvilleSounds.com and check out the swag for that one. So ought to be a good one coming off of that big win for the Sounds last night as they take the field as the Brewskis. And that is your rundown. Top story today, Wade. Not sure if you've seen it between your softball and your soccer, but as we all know, the NFL is set to announce the majority of its 2023 schedule tomorrow, but some international games, or the international games, I guess, have already been announced, and you can't have an international schedule for the NFL without Jacksonville being involved. And sure enough, they're going to play a couple of games in London back to back. Going to play the Falcons at Wembley Stadium, and then they're going to play the Buffalo Bills at I know, Wade, you are an international soccer guy, so you can correct me when I mispronounce this, but it's Tottenham Hotspur.
That's it. Yep.
Okay.
Nailed it.
All right, cool. And then, of course, just like you can't do it without Jacksonville, you can't really do it without the Titans either. On October 15th, the Titans will be at Tottenham Hotspur against the Ravens. So, interesting London lineup for the NFL, I guess.
Yeah, you hit on a couple key points. You just cannot have this series without the Jaguars. The year in, year out, they play, and I can't recall. Is this the first ever back-to-back where you're just going to stay over? Depending on how that calendar goes, they could be gone 3 or 4 weeks potentially, or the better part of 3 weeks, I guess, right?
Yeah, I mean, and I guess if you got to spend 2 weeks somewhere, there's worse places to do it than London. I mean, So yeah, I mean, I would think they'd go over the week of that first game, unless they're going to buy that previous week, and then just stay through. So, how do you pack for that?
Yeah, I mean, that's the $1 million question. Not just one game. I guess the good news is if you forgot something for your first game, we forgot some sort of article of clothing you're personally attached to. You got, hey, I may not have it to wear this week during my trip around town, but somebody's going to need to bring it over to me for next week because we got two games back to back.
Ship that over. I guess FedEx is international, so you'll be all right. Also, you've for the second year, the NFL will play games in Germany, November 5th, and Patriots the following week at Frankfurt. And Tua, Mahomes, Tyreek Hill going against his former team, that kind of thing. That one's got a lot of interest in sidelines, I think. But that could be that one might be worth getting up for, Wade.
Yeah, some of these, unless the Titans are kind of involved, you can kind of snooze right on through. But
literally,
that would be pretty compelling stuff. And the other interesting thing, they've got these 5 international games. It's kind of, for me, as just a fan of just crazy stat lines, I'm a little disappointed we're not having a Mexico game this year. And that would be if you could get Tua and Mahomes in there. A couple of years ago, I think it was the Chiefs and the Raiders maybe putting up like final scores, 50-47 or something crazy like that. I always love when those teams, kind of like we saw a couple of weeks ago with baseball, when those teams get it on down there. They're just, the runs and the stat lines are just crazy. But I kind of like the schedule. And, the Dolphins and the Chiefs, that definitely is going to be a compelling game. Kind of somewhat surprising to me a little bit that they would put such a potentially pivotal game. It seems like in years past, some of these games, kind of like the Ravens and the Titans a little bit to me, depending on where you view the Titans potentially going to be as a team going into this year. Seems like some of the games in years past were kind of throwaway games almost. And this year, the schedule kind of nice, I think, going into it.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think relative.
The iffy whiffy.
No game in Mexico City this year because the stadium is undergoing renovations, which is, a little disappointing, but you got to do what you got to do. So hopefully the NFL will be able to get back down there once they have those renovations completed. And like you said, there's never been a dull game down there. So there is the international schedule for 2023 NFL play. And again, I guess the domestic schedule will be announced tomorrow. We'll be talking more about that on Friday's show, I'm sure. So should be interesting. Wade, let's take a break. And when we come back, let's get our NASCAR specialist, our NASCAR analyst, Heather Williams, on with us here on Main Street Sports Today, presented by Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint. Stay with us.
Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint treats your orthopedic injuries and existing conditions. Our trained physicians will get you back in the game faster. Contact us at 931-381-2663 or www.mtbj.net. Custom Stone Handler supplies over 600 distributors and suppliers with quality stone products. Along with River Stone, we produce and distribute over 100 building, landscape, and other bulk products. Our goal is to provide quality products, service, and partnerships to ensure our customers' success. We firmly believe that the measure of any person or company is how they treat other people and customers. Give them a call at 931-490-4990 or visit CustomStonehandlers.com.
With Lee Company technology, the best handymen are hands-off. Lee Company techs have been using visual findings and other smart technology tools for years to add transparency and virtually take customers along. You see what we see, whether we're in a crawl space or on a roof. With Lee Company, technology helps us help you, no matter what's happening in the world or at your house.
You can't see the sights without the sounds. From the crack of the bat to the roar of the crowd and everything in between, discover what Hit City has to offer. Spend your nights cheering on the Nashville Sounds at First Horizon Park with giveaways, fireworks shows, theme weekends, and more. Single game tickets are on sale now. Visit NashvilleSounds.com to claim your seat today.
Attention Tennessee homeowners, we want to buy your house. Hi, we are Real Property Solutions, a local real estate investing group. We pay cash for all types of property, so you walk away with more money in your pocket because we eliminate any fees, closing costs, and commissions. Now the best part, we can buy your house as is, meaning you don't have to do a thing to your property. You get to take what you want, leave what you don't, and don't even worry about cleaning. We close on your timeline, whether that's 7 days or 70 days. Interested in selling? Just give us a call and we'll come out to your property and quote you a cash offer within 24 hours. Please call 615-527-8750. That's 615-527-8750.
Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint has been the official sports medicine provider for Murray County Schools for more than 40 years. We specialize in orthopedic service, and our Ortho Quick Walk-In Clinic lets you bypass the ER. Visit us online at www.mtbj.net. Hey, welcome back to Main Street Sports Today, presented by Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint. I'm Maurice Patton, joined by Wade Neely. Chris Yow taking care of some personal matters today, expecting him back in the Lee Company studio tomorrow. In the meantime, here on Wild and Wacky Wednesday, as we typically do around this time, we are joined by our journalist Heather Williams. Right, Justin?
Yeah.
Or are we? Yes, we are joined by Heather Williams. Okay, cool. How's it going, Heather?
Well, I'm on my way back from the Kansas Speedway. I stayed a couple extra days to spend some time with my family. I'm still in the state of Missouri. I'm in my third standstill traffic situation on this trip, so I might get back to Bristol, I don't know, Wednesday of next week at this route.
Goodness, that sounds lovely. Well, we really appreciate you joining us here on the Real Property Solutions Hotline to talk a little NASCAR. And as you said, you were in your old stomping grounds. You were out at Kansas Speedway this past weekend, and we talked about it last week. Denny Hamlin gets the win, but is it getting to be that you can't have a race without a Ross Chastain episode?
It appears that way. It definitely appears that way. And it's fascinating because not all this stuff has been Ross's fault, but now he just has a reputation that anytime he's racing around someone and they don't do something that they like, that it's automatically Ross's fault, which isn't always the case, but he caused some of this by his actions. I'm not sure, the situation between him and Noah apparently dates back to an incident at Talladega that Noah was upset about, and then there was another incident this week at Kansas. So that's the lead up to the not really hands being thrown, because there's really only one hand, and it was with Ross's fist attached to it. But I was actually walking down pit road and saw, the commotion, and got there just as they were pulling Ross away from the fight. So interesting for sure.
Put on the black hat, right?
I mean, I think at this point he's just got to just got to wear it, right? I mean, like Kyle Busch and the Intimidator, you know, Kyle's getting up there in age. He seems to be the most likely black cat. I mean, I don't think, other than with his fans, I don't think that he's ever going to be able to be, you know, the Jeff Gordon goody two shoes or Jimmy Johnson goody two shoes at this point in his career. So I have always kind of felt like Ross is kind of NASCAR's. This is going to be a reference for old people. So if you're, you know, under the age of 50, you may not get this. But I've always kind of felt like he was NASCAR's Eddie Haskell. And I just think he should wear that at this point.
Just own up to it, right?
Yeah, just be that guy. Because, I mean, there's a need for it. There's a place for it. People love drama. I mean, as the reason why Earnhardt is so adored now is because people loved to hate him when he was racing. They didn't love him, they loved to hate him, you know. And then after he was gone, then just it just became the love part. But when he drove, he got booed everywhere he went most of the time. And you know, the sport needs at least one, if not multiple, black hats in the garage area.
Well, I mean, you know, look at wrestling. I mean, somebody's got to be a heel, right?
Yeah, I don't really think about wrestling, but I'll take your word for it on that.
Well, I don't know a lot, but I do know that somebody has to be a heel. I mean, there's, like you said, there's got to be somebody that you love to hate, and right now it looks like Ross is as good as anybody. What did you think of the race this weekend, Heather?
I mean, one of the best races I've ever seen in person. It ranked, so Jeff Gluck from The Athletic does a poll after every race. You know, do fans think it was a good race? This race ranked 7th all time since he's done the poll, which has been more than 10 years now. It was fantastic. This car, to a driver, and I've talked to drivers after the race and then talked to 3 more today. This car is made for Kansas. This next gen car is absolutely made for Kansas. It's made for Kansas with its high banks, slick racing pavement. It's the perfect track for this car, and it delivered. The temperatures were just right for great racing, and it was amazing. The finish and the fighting just kind of was the cherry on top of what was, I mean, by the end of the second stage, they had set the record for the most lead changes at that track. And then by the end of the race, it was the most lead changes on the 1.5 mile and the 400-mile race by quite a bit. They broke both those records. So, I mean, what more can you ask for as a fan? Fans say they want passing, they want lead changes. They got all of that. They got drama at the end. They got a couple of guys walking out of there wearing black hats. They got a fight. I mean, if you're a NASCAR fan and you didn't love that race, then you really don't love racing. You just love complaining.
Heather Williams with WCYB TV out of Bristol joining us here on the Real Property Solutions Hotline on Main Street Sports Today, presented by Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint. See, we're doing our best NASCAR imitation as well, getting all the sponsors mentioned. But Hamlin wins it. His 49th career victory. Kyle Larson finishes second. William Byron, Bubba Wallace, and the aforementioned Ross Chastain rounding out the top 5. And while Bubba didn't win, Heather, tough to argue with a top 5 finish, right?
Yeah, really tough to argue. And, you know, this is Bubba's best track, obviously. Either here or Talladega, you could argue. But just from a pure speed and driving style, this is where he's performed the best. He won in the fall. He had a chance. He had a car that was a top 5 car all day. I'm not sure at the end that they had the long run speed to keep up with Hamlin, as you know, the results kind of played out to show. But this is a great track for all of the Toyotas. 2311, the last year, has kind of led that, you know, and Denny is a Toyota and the owner of 2311. So all of that kind of played out as we kind of expected when we go to Kansas, with the Toyotas being super strong. And, you know, Bubba's on a pretty good run. He had not a great start to the season, some bad luck, some bad mistakes, but he's running well and heading into a part of the season where there are a lot of good tracks for him coming up. He's close to that playoff cut in. He just keeps inching ever closer to the 16th in points, you know, so and as well as inching closer to a win. I wouldn't be surprised at all if he didn't come out and win it at Nashville, because he should have won it last year. So, yeah, things are going very well finally after kind of a bumpy start for 23XI.
Heather, on my end, I'm curious. We got the Goodyear 400 coming up this weekend. Over a little bit closer to where you're at Darlington. What are a couple big headlines after such a big race this past weekend? What are a couple of big headlines we got coming into the Goodyear this weekend?
Well, first of all, Darlington is like, the OG NASCAR track. And so there's always cool history surrounding the teams, the paint schemes, the whole 9 yards when we go to Darlington. There are some really cool throwback schemes, because this race in the spring has become NASCAR's throwback race, where everybody, kind of like your throwback uniforms in baseball, where everybody runs a throwback paint scheme, and there's some great ones. There's Chase Elliott is running the 9 throwback paint scheme of his dad. Bill Elliott, even with the old Evernham Motorsports E with the kind of trailing off the 9, that's a really cool paint scheme. There's a bunch of Kevin Harvick throwback paint schemes to honor his retirement this year. Corey LaJoie is running a paint scheme honoring his grandfather. So all of that is just so cool to see all these great old school paint schemes. Carl Edwards is going to be in the booth for a segment. He's a guy that just, once he walked away from the sports, kind of disappeared, and we haven't heard much of him. So to see Carl Edwards is going to be really great. They're honoring the top 75 drivers, celebrating NASCAR's 75th anniversary this weekend. So all the drivers that are able to make it, that are still with us, will be at that ceremony this weekend. So that's going to be cool to see all those cool drivers. But then throw all of that out the window, and Darlington is still an amazing race, because she's a mean old track. Her nickname is the Lady in Black, and everybody leaves there with a Darlington stripe because you hit the wall a lot and you can't help it. You just want to be the guy that does the least amount of damage when you're hitting the wall to your car over the course of a race. So tough racetrack, fun racetrack, and then when you throw in all the cool history that's going to be going around this weekend, I think it's going to be an amazing weekend for NASCAR.
Absolutely, and you kind of had me compelled with the historical kind of aspect of it too. And it seems like the scheduling is fantastically set up here. You got a great old school track, going to have a fun race this week, and then that dovetails right into the All-Star race. Looks like next week, right?
Yeah, when I was talking to drivers today and over the weekend, I kind of consider this maybe the biggest month for NASCAR right now, as they're in a pivotal year. They're steady trying to hold off F1 as they're charging in popularity in the United States. It's the 75th anniversary of the sport. Their TV contract is up, and so this is a huge month. Candace got them off to a fantastic start. Now, if these two really highly anticipated races in Darlington and North Wilkesboro can deliver, then I think it puts the sport in a really good position heading into the rest of the year. And it's just cool that we're doing it at historic tracks.
I tell you what, Heather, I'm going back on NASCAR.com and looking at some of these color schemes for this Darlington race, and they're really sweet. It's I think the fans are really going to enjoy this. It's the throwback schemes just kind of brings back some memories, I would imagine, for a lot of those folks, because some of them even look familiar to me, and it's established that I'm not a gearhead, but I think it's going to be fun to watch, to see some of those color schemes on some of those cars this weekend.
Yeah, and it's cool because they bring back historical drivers to be in the booth. So in addition to Carl, who's going to be in the booth for the second stage of the race, the first stage is going to be the King, Richard Petty, and Kyle Petty, and then the final stage is going to be Bill Elliott. So there'll be, if you're a history buff of the sport at all, or just a sports history fan, you don't have to be a NASCAR history fan per se. It's a really great weekend to dip your toe in the pool and kind of check out the sport, because I'm sure there'll be a lot of great stories told, and at least 50% of them will be true.
Well, Heather, we couldn't let you out of here without getting, we don't ask you for your winners anymore, but do kind of want to get your thoughts on storylines in this race and who might look good.
Well, Darlington's a tough track, so generally speaking, veterans are very good at this track. I mean, this is a track that for a couple of years was pretty much dominated by Denny Hamlin and Kevin Harvick, because you need patience. You need, to manage, like I said, the abuse in your car, because your car is going to take abuse. The tires wear really quickly because it's so close to the ocean that there's just all sorts of sand and specks of dirt and things that get on the track that just wear the tires out. And then, like I said, the constant hitting of the wall. So veterans generally fare pretty well at this track, but there are some younger guys in the race that in the lower series have done really well at Darlington, like say a Harrison Burton or a Josh Berry. So this is a racetrack where look for the old guys, but don't be surprised if a younger guy sneaks up there and maybe jumps into the top 5. But generally speaking, I think that this is like a Hamlin, Truex, Harvick kind of weekend.
Hamlin, Truex have won in the last 2 weeks, so not necessarily a bad field there, I guess.
Yeah, and then it's just because it's the kind of tracks where, well, Hamlin is just the king of Kansas. He's got the most wins of any active driver there. So, but when you talk about Dover and you talk about Darlington specifically, those are tracks that just are more more experience pays dividends for you, so the older drivers do well. If I was going to make a pick, and I don't generally make a pick, but if I was going to make a Harvick, because he is very, very good.
Well, there you have it, folks. Heather Williams bringing her insight as she does every Wednesday on NASCAR. Joining us here on the Real Property Solutions hotline on Main Street Sports Today, presented by Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint. Heather, be safe, and we will catch up with you next week.
All right, sounds great, guys. Talk to you next week.
Thank you, Heather.
Thanks. Again, that was Heather Williams with WCYB TV out of Bristol, joining us on the Real Property Solutions hotline. Real Property Solutions will pay cash for your home. They'll close on your timeline 7 days or 70. You can take what you want, leave what you don't, and you don't even have to clean. Wade, you can't beat that, can you?
No, that's pretty good. And as we kind of wrapped up with Heather here, I'm just curious if you and I can maybe dig up a racing jacket or one of those old school color schemes for the weekend. What if we were at covering some preps this weekend in one of those bad boys?
Wouldn't that be sweet? That would be sweet. Maybe we can get Real Property Solutions to mock one up for us. You can call them though at 615-527-8750. And if you're looking to sell your house, they'll get you taken care of. Wade, let's take a break. Let's come back, talk a little baseball. We will do that on the other side of this break here on Main Street Sports Today, presented by Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint. Stay with us.
You've been putting back a few, and a few becomes a few too many. For a moment, you think about calling for a ride. Nah, you live nearby. What's the worst that can happen? You get pulled over, your insurance goes up, you lose your license, you total your car, you kill someone.
There is nothing better than drinking an ice-cold beverage while taking in a Nashville Sounds baseball game. Hi, I'm Stephanie Miller with Mornings on Main Street. The Nashville Sounds and Main Street Media Television have teamed up to promote Sunday Family Fun Day here at First Horizon Park each Sunday home game. Just go to your favorite Main Street Media website and click on Sounds Main Street Media Day banner to register to win free tickets. And then we'll see you here at the ballpark.
Hockey in Music City just hits different. It's one big honky-tonk party. It's the sea of gold in the crowd, the goals, the saves, the celebrations. It's an experience like no other. Experience Predators hockey all season long. Visit NashvillePredators.com/season tickets and join the Loyal Legion today. That's NashvillePredators.com/tickets, and we'll see you at Bridgestone Arena.
Tired of hanging lights every year? We get it. That's why Southern Nights is here to help. We install programmable lighting on your home or business so you can enjoy beautiful, customizable lighting all year round. No more ladders, tangled lights, or cold nights outside. We do the work, you do the celebrating. Call Southern Nights today and take the hassle out of holiday lighting forever. For a free quote, give us a call at 931-241-3074 or visit our Facebook page at Southern Nights.
May 10th, 1967, Hank Aaron's 8th inning 2-run inside the park homer off future Hall of Famer and future Kentucky Senator Jim Bunning tied the Braves with host Philadelphia, but the Phillies scored in the ninth for a 4-3 walk-off win. For the Hammer, that was the only one of his 755 career home runs that did not clear the fence, his only inside the park home run. That was this day in Braves history.
Wow. I mean, I didn't anticipate a high number by any stretch, but only one inside the Parker for the Hammer.
You know, and here's the thing, people don't realize in the prime of his career, in his early days, Hank Aaron could run a little bit. He had multiple double-digit steal seasons. I mean, probably not from 69 forward, but yeah, I mean, go back and look at his stats on Baseball Reference. Again, he could run a little bit. He was definitely not just a one-trick pony in terms of home runs. He was a five-tool guy. So, it's kind of amazing that he only had one, especially as big as some of those ballparks were back in his heyday. So
exactly, yeah, I'm picturing just you hit one in the right spot in those bad boys, and it's going to roll forever. But yeah, one.
Of course, they were probably playing him pretty deep though too.
That's fair. I was going to say that's probably fair, and not just an inside the Parker off any old pitcher too. Jim Bunning obviously goes on for a variety of reasons to become famous. But how about the effort from the Hammer, the only inside the park home run? Wow, I actually did not know that. But
that's pretty impressive. That's pretty impressive. Also impressive, the Braves with a 4-run first inning off of Nick Pivetta last night and rolled to a 9-3 victory over the visiting Red Sox in a short 2-game series. As Chris and I talked yesterday, I don't really get the 2-game series. It's odd, but the Braves made the most of that one and made the most of Charlie Morton. Got 6 innings out of him before going to the bullpen for an inning each out of Kirby Yates, AJ Minter, and Danny Young. And the fact that they didn't have to tax that bullpen is going to be a pretty big deal today, because it's looking like a bullpen game with the starting pitching maladies that Atlanta is going through right now, with Max Fried joining Kyle Wright on the IL and a lot of uncertainty there. So that was a big performance by Morton with 7 strikeouts in 6 innings and getting that win last night. So, and
did I see Olsen goes yard yesterday as well?
Olsen went yard. He has 4 first pitch home runs, and Jeff Francoeur virtually called this one last night. He was just mentioning that he's hitting close to 500 with 3 home runs on the first pitch, and then he just let it fly into, if not over, the chop house. So yeah, Olson with another home run. I think that's his 11th. So the Oakland effect really having a big impact on the Braves between Olson and Sean Murphy, obviously. So if there's anybody else out there that the A's want to trade us, we are all ears.
Yeah, send them on. We'll take them, right?
Yeah, and I'm sure that as an Astros fan, you don't necessarily have a problem with that, with the A's getting a little weaker.
Yeah, that wouldn't be the worst thing in the world. And since you mentioned Houston, I'm just going to sneak in a little bit that Valdez, man, he walked right into Los Angeles last night and outdueled Ohtani. I watched last 4 or 5 innings of that game, and he was absolutely on fire. Struck out 12, like I said, and that's the first loss of the year for Ohtani. Ohtani was held hitless at the plate too. So,
oh dang, just a bad night all the way around for Ohtani, huh? In his walk year, maybe that'll devalue him a little bit.
Right. Yeah. Bring him down just a touch, I suppose. Right. 3-1 your final there, and they made 2 errors and still survived to win it 3-1. Presley came in, got the save at the end. It was a nice little win for the Astros versus Ohtani last night.
Yeah, Valdez, like you said, 12 strikeouts over 8 innings, held the Angels to 3 hits, none by Ohtani. So that's a good night. It's a good night. Astros are now, that got the Astros to 500. 18-18 going into today's play. So
yeah, they're creeping back, and I took a glance just because Vegas knows obviously better than most. I took a glance at the betting odds, and they're still a decent favorite to win the division. But and the thing was, you get Altuve back, and then you could really start seeing where you go from there. So kind of tread water till you get him back, and obviously sitting there at 500, they've done exactly that. They've treaded the water they need to, and now you can go forward.
Yeah, and Texas leading the AL West at 21-14 right now. You don't know if they're for real or not, but they're only 3 games back, or 3.5 games back. The Astros are, but they've got the Rangers, Angels, and Mariners they're tied with the Mariners. Mariners are at 500 as well at 18-18. Angels actually 20-17 following that loss last night, but they're kind of bunched up in the West.
Yep, and that's obviously winning these key games. They played so many games outside their division to start the season, and took some L's, obviously, at the forefront of those. So maybe start whittling away. Start like I said, you get Altuve back, and then if you're just in striking distance there, then you can really kind of see where I think what kind of season you're going to have. I don't really like pinning it all on one guy, but when you're talking about a guy at that caliber, if you can just hold down the fort until he can get back, then, if things don't improve dramatically, then you can kind of maybe start panicking.
Well, sure. And I mean, a player of Altuve's caliber deserves that type of, consideration. He has that kind of an impact. And so it does make sense that Houston would kind of, like you said, be trying to hang on and tread water until they can get him back in the lineup. I mean, I don't think you can really measure this team, what this team is about, who this team is, without Jose Altuve in the middle of it. So, hopefully he's close to getting back from, what was that, a hand?
Yeah, took one. I guess it was in the WBC, right?
It was, yeah. Back when everybody was wanting to cancel the WBC because of all the injuries that were taking place during it. But yeah.
And since you mentioned the standings, I'm looking at the AL. We've kind of discussed the West, but I do find it interesting. Every single team in the East is at least 4 games above 500, but there's an 8.5 game margin because obviously the Rays got off to one of the best starts ever. And then on the other end, you've got the Central, where there's one team over 500, and they happen to be in first. The Twins, they got a 2-game lead on the Tigers. Detroit just got a win this afternoon, but just kind of interesting how all the divisions are jumbled up, and then obviously the Braves just smoking. Okay, fair enough.
Keep
I'll
it
whisper.
down, because we don't want to fall into the trap that a certain Northeastern team fell into last year of talking trash and then getting walked down the stretch. But you mentioned Tampa Bay, Wade. They are 29-8, and I don't know at what point it ceases to be a start I mean, these guys are 37 games into the season and still haven't lost double digits yet.
Yeah, and I'm looking at their standings. They're 19-3 at home. Their biggest kicker, though, plus 116 run differential. The Braves are plus 62. Houston's plus 20. They are just lapping everybody. And the closest one is the Rangers, who are at plus 81. They're, almost 40 runs better right now than the second best team. And you're right. At what point? And it was funny because a few weeks ago when you were on vacation, Chris and I had discussed, and, we definitely were chalking it up to a quote unquote fast start then. But yeah, at what point are you the other teams in the division? You say, hey, we're 4, 5, 6 games above 500 and we don't have a shot of catching these guys right now.
Right. I mean, it's funny you said they were 19-3 at home. I mean, I guess they've gotten used to playing in front of nobody, huh? There's no distractions. So
sometimes it works in your favor, I guess, right?
Yeah, no doubt. Interesting situation took place during the Braves game last night. Orlando Arcia hits a ball down the left field line that literally is along the left field line and bounced into the left field seats with some help as a Braves fan kind of reached perhaps into the field of play, grabbed it, forced a ground rule double, and forced a runner back to third base who probably would have scored on the play had that play played out. Justin, do you have that video by any chance?
Yes, pulling it up right now. 1 second.
I think I know where this is going too.
Yeah. We got a Baby Bartman deal here.
Man, at least it was a good snag, right?
It was at least he came up with it clean. Yeah, but he's getting a little razzing down there, and that's a deal that in an eventual 9-3 game, it's okay, I guess, but might should have just left that one alone. And turns out, as you were listening to the telecast on Bally Sports, Jeff Francoeur knows the guy, coaches against him in some youth league. I think he said softball. So
that's of course Francoeur does, right?
We still there? Justin, are we there? Am I here?
Sorry. Yeah. And I guess the other big thing is two things to me jump out. Number one, obviously, thank goodness it's not in the postseason or, as you said, a meaningful or close game. And number two, thank goodness for that fan, Moises Alou was not close by.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that might not have been very pretty. Speaking of balls being stopped that shouldn't have, there was an interesting situation during the Sounds game last night against Gwinnett where I'm not sure what this umpire was doing, but whatever it wasn't good. Roll them, Justin. Ball down the third base line. Third baseman comes up, throwing. I think that's John Singleton playing first base, glaring at the umpire like, dude, what? I've never seen an umpire there. Wade, have you?
No, and the more I'm watching this, I saw it last night just the once, but you almost have to. It looks like it's on purpose. The odds of that happening as a fluke are just beyond my comprehension.
I just don't know where he's going. I mean, again, Chris and I both do a little umpiring, and I don't know that I've ever felt the need to be where he was on a play at first on an infield ground ball.
Yeah, and with a full crew, presumably too. It's not like
I think it's a 3-man. I think it's a 3-man crew in AAA. But yeah, I don't know why he has to be there. That's really an odd one. But it did not affect the Sounds greatly, as again they defeated Gwinnett 11-3 in the opening game of that 6-game series down at First Horizon Park. They They resume that series tonight at 6:35, not 6:37, as was somebody's start time last week. So, and again, they will be taking the field as the Nashville Brewskis. I'm not sure if that's in tribute to the Nashville craft beer community or the Milwaukee Brewers or what it is, but they are adapting the Brewers color scheme in their jerseys for this one. So should be a lot of fun. Have you been to a game yet this year, Wade?
Went to one opening weekend on the Sunday, Main Street
Against
Media
Louisville?
Day. Yep,
Yeah,
Main Street Media Day, no big deal. Saw Joey Votto in action for the visitors, and haven't had a chance to get back out, but don't worry, we're getting ready to get cranked up. And there's a shot of the Bruce. Man, those are sharp.
Those are sharp, man. They've got a lot of alternate jerseys that they are working into their to their game day scheme, and it's pretty cool. And again, this Sunday, I guess it's a 2:00 start, and that will be Family Day, sponsored by Main Street Media. You can purchase tickets, I think, at any of our websites, including Main Street Murray, and so go check that out. Go check the Sounds out Sunday afternoon. Go check them out. Before that, Friday fireworks, which is one of Chris's favorites, obviously. So, yeah.
Hey, I'm looking at the merch right now, and I wish they had a official, game day lid. They've got a couple nice 47 brand curved lids, I guess, for lack of a better term. But some of these shirts and the jersey especially are phenomenal.
And if you're watching, there's a old style Nashville Sounds cap giveaway on May 24th, which I believe is on a Wednesday night for the first 1,000 fans. It's got the swinging guitar guy on the cap. So.
That is electric too, by the way.
Oh, absolutely. So, yeah, I mean, the sounds and the guitar kind of go hand in hand, always have. So yeah, that's a nice look. So if you don't get down there before May 24th, make your plans to get down there on May 24th and try to grab a cap. Wade, let's dip out for just a second, come back and talk a little college sports and AAC in particular. So we're going to take a break here on Main Street Sports Today, presented by Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint, and come back. So you do the same.
Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint treats your orthopedic injuries and existing conditions. Our trained physicians will get you back in the game faster. Contact us at 931-381-2663 or www.mtbj.net.
With Lee Company technology, the best handymen are hands-off. Lee Company techs have been using visual findings and other smart technology tools for years to add transparency and virtually take customers along. You see what we see, whether we're in a crawl space or on a roof. With Lee Company, technology helps us help you, no matter what's happening in the world or at your house.
Jones & Lang Sporting Goods here in Columbia has been outfitting teams, officials, and anybody else from T-ball to college for 50 plus years. Be sure and check them out at 931-388-8060 or online at jonesandlang.com. Jones & Lang Sporting Goods, the look of a winner.
Zion Christian Academy, zioneagles.org or 931-388-5731. You can schedule your appointment. Go tour their campus. It is beautiful over there, and you're definitely going to want to see it. Again, it's zioneagles.org. Give them a call, 931-388-5731, and schedule your tour today.
A game without a crowd is just a scrimmage. A performance without an audience is just a rehearsal. Without your presence, high school sports and the performing arts aren't possible. Ensure that these essential extracurricular activities continue to enrich the lives of students in Tennessee. Purchase a ticket to your local high school's game or performance.
This message presented by the TSSAA.
You can't see the sights without the sounds. From the crack of the bat to the roar of the crowd and everything in between, discover what Hit City has to offer. Spend your nights cheering on the Nashville Sounds at First Horizon Park with giveaways, fireworks shows, theme weekends, and more. Single game tickets are on sale now. Visit NashvilleSounds.com to claim your seat today.
Attention Tennessee homeowners, we want to buy your house. Hi, we are Real Property Solutions, a local real estate investing group. We pay cash for all types of property, so you walk away with more money in your pocket because we eliminate any fees, closing costs, and commissions. Now the best part, we can buy your house as is, meaning you don't have to do a thing to your property. You get to take what you want, leave what you don't, and don't even worry about cleaning. We close on your timeline, whether that's 7 days or 70 days. Interested in selling? Just give us a call and we'll come out to your property and quote you a cash offer within 24 hours. Please call 615-527-8750. That's 615-527-8750.
Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint has been the official sports medicine provider for Murray County Schools for more than 40 years. We specialize in orthopedic service, and our Ortho Quick Walk-In Clinic lets you bypass the ER. Visit us online at www.mtbj.net. Welcome back to Main Street Sports Today, presented by Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint. I'm Maurice Patton, joined in the Lee Company studio by Wade Neely. Chris Yow taking a personal day today, expected back in the saddle tomorrow. We're coming down the home stretch, Wade, without Yow. So we've managed to keep this thing on the road for an hour. That's a good thing.
Yep, we've steered it to the best of our abilities, and not patting myself or yourself on the back just yet, but hey, not bad.
We're getting there. We're getting there. We're more than halfway home. So let's see if we can finish this thing up strong. But American Athletic Conference Commissioner Mike ARESCO has written another open letter asking that folks cease and desist with the Power Five moniker for college athletics, and I guess college football in particular. Of course, I guess if you are the AAC, then you really you'd really like to see that, because ARESCO and that conference had tried to position itself as the sixth power conference. They called themselves a P6 conference as opposed to P5, trying to align themselves alongside the Atlantic Coast, Big 12, Big 10, Pac-12, and Southeastern conferences. That effort has proven to be in vain. And so at this point, Mr. ARESCO is just asking that we stop referring to power conferences at all, I guess. And I guess with a good chunk of his membership headed to a Power 5 conference next year, it probably has a lot to do with it. UCF, Cincinnati, and Houston going to the Big 12 for next year. Also, as college football gets set for a 12-team playoff coming up here pretty soon. But interesting. I've seen it referred to as pathetic in some places, that ARESCO is like, please stop. If you're not going to mention us, then just don't mention it at all, basically, is what it sounds like he's saying. And I don't know that it's going to change. I mean, it's probably the best way to kind of capture those power conferences is to refer to them that way. And the AAC isn't that. I mean, Wade, what thoughts do you have as far as that goes?
My immediate thought is, Commissioner ARESCO is he's just trying his best to speak this into existence, is the way that I'm interpreting that. And now that things have kind of, like you said, adjusted, not gone his way, not gone the league's way, and league membership dramatically changing, seems like they're kind of just scrambling to see if they can just find something to stick, the proverbial Jello on the wall situation here, or maybe some other thing on the wall, and just seeing if it sticks, so to speak. But it does come across. I was going to stop just shy of pathetic, desperate. Maybe is where I'm maybe going, and that's fair. I mean, that's your job as the commissioner, is to try and do your absolute best to preserve the sanctity of the league, improve the profile of the league. But yeah, I will stop just shy of pathetic, and I'll just settle with a nice, strong, desperate. Just, you can kind of smell it and taste it almost coming off of the conference at this point.
Back on March 9th, I issued a statement calling for the elimination of the Power 5 or P5 label from the collegiate nomenclature in the public forum, ARESCO wrote in a letter that came out yesterday. The use of P5 has created a divide in football bowl subdivision football that is not healthy and that is not often supported by competitive results on the field and court. The recent realignment in college athletics has further eroded the P5 concept. Among the many issues and challenges currently facing college sports, the Power 5, Group of 5 divide and the immense harm it causes does not receive the attention afforded to health and safety, NIL, pay to play, the transfer portal, and other pressing issues. No one would argue that the latter list is not of the utmost importance and critical to the future of college athletics, but the P5 G5 divide also deserves scrutiny. Also in the letter, he points to a previous letter that was written back in March trying to get the AAC again considered as a Power 6 conference, but now he says the AAC doesn't want to join that club. We will now adopt a generic Power brand in lieu of Power 6 or P6 branding, as we no longer want to give credit to that group's exclusionary nature. This conference has been and remains powerful. Since that letter, which detailed years of the highest level accomplishments, was written, the American has placed a team in the college football playoff, has won another New Year's Day bowl game, placed a team in the Final Four and Elite Eight, had a #1 seed in the 2023 men's basketball tournament, and achieved considerable success in Olympic sports. And, desperate, pathetic. Again, pathetic wasn't my word. It was just one that I had seen used in relation to this situation. But you can almost see Mike ARESCO just jumping up and down with his fist balled up while he's writing this.
Yeah, he's coming across as desperate is the best word I could come up with. Yeah. Angry, a touch, perhaps. Now I'm reading an article from The Athletic, which is, kind of makes a decent point, though. If we're dropping the distinction as we head into the expanded playoff, that Power 6 moniker, to use ARESCO'S term there, it technically doesn't have as much of a credible factor, because there's no point in joining the club if the club is supposed to be all inclusive now, I suppose. And I guess this is maybe their way of trying to, or his way of trying to roll with the punches, be hip with the times, so to speak. But to me, it just comes across as, hey, it didn't work the first way. We're just going to try a different way and see if this will end up a little better. But you made a great point earlier when you said the membership changing, especially when you're losing a couple teams like UCF and Cincinnati. I mean, they're lucky they're not going down. They're lucky if they remain on equal footing, as opposed to trying to punch up at this point.
Yeah, no doubt. I'm not even sure what the AAC looks like at this moment, to be honest. We talked to Matt Brown earlier in the week, and obviously there's still some dominoes to fall in terms of realignment and, television deals and that kind of thing. But the sands are shifting under our feet, I guess, and that may not be any more visible than in the American Athletic Conference. I think again, you lose in Central Florida, Cincinnati, and Houston. I think they're getting some Conference USA teams, Charlotte, Rice, North Texas, and men's basketball Final Four participant, Florida Atlantic. So, their perception is in flux, I guess. And
yes, well said.
yeah, and I guess ARESCO'S, like you said, and it's interesting way you made some nice points, and I could kind of, as you were making those points, I could hear the voice of a one-time college athletics department employee coming through with some of your comments, that it's his job, it's his charge to position his conference as well as possible and, project them in the best light and that kind of thing. And so, he's got a job that he's trying to do. And I guess there's a level upon which that needs to be respected. But
Yeah,
at the same
and
time, I think there's a better way to do it than what he's done.
absolutely. And I was just getting ready to say, just because your job, your charge is to protect the conference at all costs, increase their stature at all costs, that does not mean the internet and the rest of the sporting world cannot just absolutely dunk on you at times. So I see both sides. You got to do the best, but that doesn't mean that we can't poke a little fun at you for your efforts there, because the AAC, it comes back to those three. And with all due respects to the Rices and the Florida Atlantics, which obviously did go to the Final Four, so much of this is just obviously tied into perception in football. And the names that you had kind of just mentioned, maybe it's the old MTSU North Texas rivalry and me coming out. It just doesn't jump off the page as far as perception wise, especially when you're losing teams like Houston, Cincinnati, and UCF.
Yeah. Stuart Mandel, longtime college sports, specifically college football writer at SL Mandel on Twitter. The hilarious thing about this is he's the only one who's ever created an official Power Anything designation. Power 5 is an organic nickname media started using after the formation of the CFP because those 5 leagues got contract bowls and the other 5 had to share one. So there's that.
Yeah, and like we've talked about, it was kind of a necessary term. There was no other real way to make that distinction. So I kind of get the point at this current juncture where everybody is, open, and the playoff is not as mutually exclusive as it was previously. Now that it's kind of more of an open parameter, then yeah, maybe now we're trying to drop that moniker. But it just does come across as very kind of funny and desperate, considering just how recently we were really trying to push our way into this conversation as a Power 6 member, so to speak.
Yeah, and then all of a sudden, we don't want to be there. Just we don't want a Power anything. Yeah. So as I was scanning the interwebs trying to get more information on this situation, though, Wade, I came across an article on CBSSports.com earlier today. Auburn great Bo Jackson to undergo procedure for chronic hiccups after suffering for nearly a year.
Whoa.
Yeah. Legendary Auburn running back and two-sport athlete Bo Jackson will undergo a procedure later this week to stop the chronic hiccups he's been experiencing since July of 22. Apparently was not at A-Day ceremonies, festivities last month as a result of it. So that's odd. I've never heard of chronic hiccups.
No,
clearly Bo has.
Yep, and that comes back to the old, Barstool pub debate. Would you rather, would you take $10 million if it meant you had hiccups for a year? I don't think that Bo Jackson is necessarily thinking in those terms, but it's kind of playing out before our very eyes, right?
He's already got the 10 million and then some, I do believe. But yeah, apparently he was on McElroy and Kubelik in the morning on Jocks down in Birmingham. But I've done everything: scare me, hang upside down, drink water, smell the butt of a porcupine. It doesn't work. So
I've tried most of those. I haven't been around any porcupines.
I've not been around any porcupines. If anybody could, though, I'd imagine it was Bo. Probably caught it, knowing Bo.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's crazy. I hope he gets it figured out and gets it addressed, and no longer has to deal with that, because I mean that's chronic hiccups. I mean, that just sounds awful.
It sounds miserable. I don't like to go 10 minutes with hiccups. Yeah,
absolutely. Yeah,
I heard that. Yeah,
might should have saved that one for Wild and Wacky, actually, which we're going to wrap up the show with here in a bit. We're not quite there yet. Wade, we talked yesterday, Chris and I did, about the passing of Denny Crum at the age of 86, and want to drop back and get any thoughts you might have had on the longtime Louisville coach.
Yeah, I saw the news just like many of us did on social media yesterday, and I was not following college basketball during that absolute heyday of Louisville. But I tell you this, I heard and was well aware of how great those teams were, how great Coach Crum was, and to me, especially just seeing a person from that era have just so many touching tributes. You know, Coach Kenny Payne obviously comes straight out with the statement, and just seeing everybody kind of showing that outpouring. I thought that was really special. And it also kind of made me think and just harken back to, man, Louisville is in a bad spot in terms of men's basketball right now, especially obviously when you compare it to that. But it was very tragic. It was very unfortunate. You know, you're talking about one of the best to ever do it. But I also thought, man, Louisville has a long way to go potentially to get back to where they want to be.
Yeah, that's a good point. And we never really made that point when we were discussing it yesterday, Wade, but you're absolutely right. It just really does kind of drive home how far this Louisville basketball program is removed from that success. It's crazy when you think about it. So,
yeah,
let's take a break. Let's come back and let's get wild and wacky here on Main Street Sports Today, presented by Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint.
Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint treats your orthopedic injuries and existing conditions. Our trained physicians will get you back in the game faster. Contact us at 931-381-2663 or www.mtbj.net. Custom Stone Handlers supplies over 600 distributors and suppliers with quality stone products. Along with River Stone, we produce and distribute over 100 building, landscape, and other bulk products. Our goal is to provide quality products, service, and partnerships to ensure our customers' success. We firmly believe that the measure of any person or company is how they treat other people and customers. Give them a call at 931-490-4990 or visit CustomStonehandlers.com.
With Lee Company technology, the best handymen are hands-off. Lee Company techs have been using visual findings and other smart technology tools for years to add transparency and virtually take customers along. You see what we see, whether we're in a crawl space or on a roof. With Lee Company, technology helps us help you, no matter what's happening in the world or at your house.
You can't see the sights without the sounds. From the crack of the bat to the roar of the crowd and everything in between, discover what Hit City has to offer. Spend your nights cheering on the Nashville Sounds at First Horizon Park with giveaways, fireworks shows, theme weekends, and more. Single game tickets are on sale now. Visit NashvilleSounds.com to claim your seat today.
Attention Tennessee homeowners, we want to buy your house. Hi, we are Real Property Solutions, a local real estate investing group. We pay cash for all types of property, so you walk away with more money in your pocket because we eliminate any fees, closing costs, and commissions. Now the best part, we can buy your house as is, meaning you don't have to do a thing to your property. You get to take what you want, leave what you don't, and don't even worry about cleaning. We close on your timeline, whether that's 7 days or 70 days. Interested in selling? Just give us a call and we'll come out to your property and quote you a cash offer within 24 hours. Please call 615-527-8750. That's 615-527-8750.
Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint has been the official sports medicine provider for Murray County Schools for more than 40 years. We specialize in orthopedic service, and our Ortho Quick Walk-In Clinic lets you bypass the ER. Visit us online at www.mtbj.net.
I'm so excited about this new show.
Dino Trek is back again this year. It's bigger than we've ever had it before.
When they're about 5 months old, we'll start to see them sticking their head out of the pouch, or you might see a foot come out or a tail.
It's like an Airbnb for Joey's. Now, you're not going to see all three of them together because cats in general don't get along unless it's time to get along, if you know what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Lions and tigers and bears.
Oh, my.
Well, we're 2/3 of the way there. It's animals, nature, and fun. That's what we're all about. But during that time, we hope that you also learn something, that you're inspired to want to learn something.
What's new at the zoo with Jim Bar 2.
Welcome back to Main Street Sports Today, presented by Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint. I'm Maurice Patton. That's Wade Neely. Chris Yow taking a break today. Should be back with us tomorrow, but it's Wednesday. And Wednesday, Wild and Wacky Wednesday. News from across the world. Of course, we start in Florida, where the Monroe County State Attorney's Office on Friday dropped charges against two men accused by sheriff's deputies of stealing a car they rented from a Florida Keys impound lot after it was towed late last month. The Assistant State Attorney of Florida wrote in the memorandum of no action that the men paid restitution to the owner of the lot and he does not wish to seek any further punitive measures. Couple of guys, one from Australia, one from Boston, broke into an impound lot on April 25th, stole a car that they had rented that had previously been towed from a Key West business earlier that day. Arrested after they were arrested in Marathon, about 40 miles north of the impound lot. Apparently, the car was towed from a business where it was not permitted to be parked, thus the towing. Caused $5,000 in damage to the gate at the impound lot, and the break-in was captured on the lot's security camera. So, and these guys didn't do much of anything to try to disguise themselves. When they were arrested, they were wearing the same clothes as the men shown on the footage entering the impound lot. So clearly I guess they didn't feel like they did anything wrong. I don't know, but you can't do that. Of course,
yeah, textbook example. What not to do.
What not to do. Yeah. You'd like to think there's a better way to handle that, but I mean, I guess all's well that ends well. They did not get any further action taken against them after they paid for the damages, and I guess they got the car back to the rental place in time, so all is good.
Having said that, though, I will say this, Mo. When the boot man is close to putting a boot on your car, there's a moment Whether you act on it or not, well, you will do just about anything to get out of that situation. So I can kind of sympathize. When the boot man comes, you're ready to throw it all out the window.
Yeah, don't talk about Boots in JK's earshot. He kind of gets the heebie-jeebies hearing about Boots. Yeah. But I will tell you that apparently there is someone in Atlanta that is selling master keys to Boots, and as long as you remove the boot without damaging the boot, you can do that. So if you're in Atlanta and you have a penchant for parking illegally, look up Atlanta boot removal. You might come in handy. From the Associated Press, snake flips switch stops traffic at Virginia intersection. Because Wild and Wacky always has to include animals. A large snake brought traffic to a stop at an intersection in Prince William County, Virginia. The snake was in an electrical panel at the intersection of Prince William Parkway and Sudley Manor Drive, caused a power outage. A police officer and an animal control officer worked together to remove the snake from the panel and release it unharmed in the area. The snake was so large that it flipped a breaker switch that shut off the signal, but it didn't damage anything inside the box. It's believed that the snake had been living in the box for a while due to molten skin found inside.
Ooh.
When traffic signals aren't working because of a power outage, police say to treat intersections like stop signs. So, whether they're snake related or not.
Doesn't matter.
Yeah. Speaking of animals, zoo hiring people to dress up as giant eagles and scare off seagulls. Yeah. If you don't have the experience for this job, try winging it. Job seekers have been flocking to a listing from a zoo in Blackpool, England, seeking people to work as seagull deterrents by dressing up in inflatable eagle costumes and frightening off any gulls attempting to eat the food meant for the zoo's human visitors or animal residents. Seagulls make a real nuisance of themselves during busy times at our eateries and also during talks, feeds, and demonstrations that involve fish, according to the Blackpool Zoo's Operations and Visitor Services Director. Chief Seagull Scarer, that's a title, apparently. Jess Monks has been working in the role and gave an on-camera demonstration for a local news outlet, and it appears to work. The costumes look like a cartoonish, strangely proportioned version of a bird of prey. It's suggested that the novelty of the outfit, rather than its actual resemblance to an eagle, that the gulls find off-putting. Makes sense. The costume is something that the seagulls won't have seen before, and as intelligent birds, they will naturally not like it. The costume also makes a sound when the person is moving, which is something else the seagulls don't like. The position is seasonal, and seagull scarers will be paid £8, which is equal to $10 in U.S. currency, per hour if they're 16 to 20 years old, and 10.8 pounds or $13.50 if they're 21 or older. The zoo, which is already that in mind if you're thinking about heading over to England to scare eagles. Scare seagulls.
I was getting ready to say, Mo, depending on those two Jaguars games, some of the team could be in line for a job there.
A little part-time work there. Get that lined up. Yeah, there you go. That's going to do it for Wild and Wacky. Wade, where are you off to this evening with Pulaski Citizen and PC Live?
Pulaski Citizen Live will be at Summertown, where tonight Giles County Softball takes on the host Summertown Eagles. With a win tonight, Giles County would extend its season. They would potentially take on Loretto in the championship games tomorrow. I'll be there tonight, and who knows where I'll be the rest of the week.
Sounds good. I will be heading to Summit for District 12 4A softball. So check us both out. Check out our coverage at the Pulaski Citizen and at Main Street Murray. That's Wade Neely. I'm Maurice Patton. Come back tomorrow on Main Street Sports Today.